What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So, if you have not done so already, please go back. Monday, Tuesday, our topics. So on Monday, we discussed 23andMe user records being hacked by cyber criminals. On Tuesday, we talked about Europol dismantling the Ragnar Locker ransomware infrastructure and nabbing one of their key developers. And then in the future, Thursday will be a throwback Thursday. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to put up, but it's going to be good. So you should check it out. We have almost 500 episodes for me to dig through. And then Friday's everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this discussion is going to be based off an article from thehill.com by Philip Timotea. It's titled Republican Congressman Says Labor Crunch Biggest Threat to U.S. Cybersecurity. I just want to say I'm glad to see that this person has gotten on board with what we have been saying for so long now, right? So Representative Andrew Garbarino from New York had a Thursday morning event that was talking about labor shortages within the cyber sector, right? And he's talking about how they present the biggest long-term threat to U.S. cybersecurity, right? So, like, Ryan has brought it up numerous times on the podcast, you guys, like how we are so short in the cybersecurity and IT career field, right? And like that being the biggest threat going forward, like this is just going to be something that it's going to hit a wall. It's going to hit a point to where it's going to be very noticeable to even the layman's, right? Like to the people that aren't really paying too much attention to it right now, because they're like, oh, it doesn't really affect me, right? Like it does. And in your everyday life, it does. You just don't realize how much, right? Whether it be you're not paying attention to the things that are happening around you when it comes to different ransomware things that are going, different vulnerabilities and IoT devices you may have that you're not paying attention to or not updating, right? Things like that. So one of the quotes he has in this article is he says, workforce in 5 years, if we don't fix this workforce problem, that's probably the biggest threat that we have toward ensuring that when it comes to cybersecurity, So he's talking about we need to start getting people in these positions, right? And we've talked about it. 500, and they mentioned in the article. So let me see here. Let me find it. Cybersecurity workforce analytics platform CyberSeek says there are 570,000 job openings, which creates opportunities for bad actors such as China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea to attack companies in the U.S. government because there is a shortage of 570,000, right? So this is what we've been addressing for so long on here, right? Like this is kind of one of the reasons for the podcast as well, right? Just to get those people of color, right? And again, we're all accepting. We'll take everybody, right? But we're trying to help people of color as well, right? To get into this career field to help with these things, knowing that there is a shortage that is coming up, right? And again, the fact that you have a congressman, right, that's out here saying, hey, this is a big problem. Like this needs to be listened to. And I know the current administration is doing a lot for this, and they're putting billions of dollars with a B, right, into this. You know what I mean? But you also have those companies, those Microsofts, those Googles that are putting money into this effort as well, right? And they're not doing the normal stuff they used to do, right? They're going and they're looking at people of color. They're looking at women specifically, right? They're going to those minority groups, realizing that there is diversity needed in this as well, right? And I know I kind of steered off a little bit, but again, that's kind of one of the reasons for the podcast. You know what I mean? But this is something that people, if you're not paying attention, again, you don't have to take our word for it, right? Like, isn't that what LeVar Burton used to say on Reading Rainbow? What was that? You don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a congressman that's in the know, right? They're getting all types of reports and things of that nature that are saying, hey, this is what we're seeing. You know what I mean? So the growing cyber threats that are out there, like we've said it on this podcast many a time, right? Before any bullet or bomb is dropped, what's going to happen is going to be a cybersecurity thing. You know what I mean? They're going to come in and start taking down your infrastructure, your defense systems, they're going to start going that route before they do any of that. So you need the people that are able to handle that. And so again, there's a shortage of 570,000 people, and it definitely needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? And they even mentioned in the article, it's not just having the people, it's having the right people, right? Like what skills are out there. And again, this is where some of these companies, are leaning forward a little bit, right? Like trying to get the training to these people, right? And this congressman talks about how getting children, I don't want to make it sound like it's slave labor or anything like that, but like starting these kids out at a young age, like investing more money in K through 12 education, you know what I mean? Not just when you get to the upper echelon of education, your colleges and things like that, but K through 12, he's talking about putting money into this to try to get these children cyber smart. And the thing is, we're kind of already there, right? Like I know with my at least my younger two children, right? They're doing more in school when it comes to using technology and things of that nature, right? So even like during COVID, it was even more prevalent, right? Because children were staying home, you know what I mean? So they would have to have their Chromebook or their laptop or whatever issued to them, and they'd have to know how to work around that and do some stuff. So um, it's something that needs to be addressed. And again, don't just take our word for it, right? We got a congressman from New York that's saying the same thing, right? Wants to invest the money, talks about needing to invest more in education to kind of stop this threat. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do like the approach of kind of getting kids ready for progression into that, right? We always talk about STEM or STEAM if you add arts to it as well, and just trying to get that pipeline flowing from K through 12. So it's good to see that he has the same mindset, right? It's also good to see it goes across party lines, right? The Biden administration has already been trying to work towards that goal with their objectives, and like this Republican congressman also feels the same way with like I'm sure there's some ideological differences between the two, but at the end of the day, the general uh, terminology is we need more people. We need them quickly to fill these gaps. So we're asking people to pivot from other careers into cyber, but ultimately we're going to need a steady flow of people coming up through high school who have the capability or the skills to replace these people as they start to age out. Um, which is something that's also not being really talked about. Like, yeah, we need a bunch of people, but you're getting people who are already not necessarily are all older people, but you have people who are pivoting from other careers who, they've already worked a career or half a career, and now they're pivoting into cybersecurity. At some point, they're going to age out of it as well, and then you'll have more gaps, right? So you need younger people who are already kind of invested in cyber to replace those people. The same thing goes for medical. The same thing goes for law and things of that nature, right? You always need a bunch of people to backfill the people who are currently doing it, who may just decide to not do that anymore in their career. So uh, he's attacking from all angles. So I like it. I think it's a good initiative, and I hope to see more of it. Um, what's I kind of find interesting is like not only how the parties are kind of aligned on it, but the numbers always fluctuating. So there's a million vacancies, there's 700,000 vacancies, there's 500,000 vacancies, but all that says to me is there's a lot of vacancies. We don't exactly know how many, but there's a lot. And then with more legislation coming down the pipe, right? You have your Fed ramps and things of that nature, which are now starting to have variants, right? It's like the MCU out here. You have Texas ramp and state ramp and all other types of uh, variants of all these, um, I would say higher level federal regulations. And we have 50 states. So if all of them decide to adopt it in a different way, you'll need more people to then know how this cyber thing works and how to make it applicable to your business. So if anything, this goes to show the government has a vested interest in putting the money in there, and then the private sector and public sector it also needs to invest and hire people to bring in those necessary skills to cover our bases because I'm not for a bunch of red tape. However, I think cyber is starting to finally catch up to where it needs to be. So there's more red tape coming. And you need people who are invested, understand it, and who have a passion for it. And I think you'll get a lot more of those people. Not only the people who are trying to cross over into cyber, bringing their transferable skills, but then you have the younger generation coming in who already understands it, right? It's already baked in. It's kind of like your supply chain, right? If you bake in security from the beginning, then you have a better result as opposed to trying to cover your bases later on. So that's kind of what they're doing with the K through 12 pipeline as well. So I think it's a great initiative. I hope keep the same energy for the next 5 to 10 years as we finally catch up, right? Um, and hopefully we stay this course so that way we have the right people in the right places.
And this is just one congressman is saying this, right? Like he just went out in public and said this, but like the hope is, there are other people in the background that are like, yeah, I understand the need for that, right? People on committees for education and things like that
Right.
that can actually make this happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I feel it's finally coming to a head where we're trying to be more cybersecurity minded, not only because of all of the attacks of the past 3 years, right? Disrupt the supply chains, things of that nature, but just having entities like TikTok, right, where we don't have the control of the operator of the system, right? So we need the people to kind of understand better what these risks are so that way they don't continue to fall into the same patterns and traps.
You got to convince them in between dances, though, right? Because that's what they're doing.
Right. But if you target that age group, they'll kind of understand a little bit better, right? You might be making the next, Jeff Bezos or whomever, right? He or she will create another entity that captures your PII, but it'll be on our soil. So we we make the next generation of TikTok, but it'll be US based. Or people finally understand that, hey, I can't share this information, or hey, I I I have an idea that can help solve a solution to the passwordless future or things of that nature, right? So we stop getting trapped again, like we talked this week, like 23andMe, like that's an issue. If only we could figure out a way to get away from passwords. That would be great. And we know Google and Apple and all and Microsoft are working on that, but what does the future past that look like, right? And then if you're targeting these kids K through 12, right, like they might have an amazing idea of what the future holds. So we'll see how it all comes to fruition, but I'm very optimistic that uh the people across both aisles kind of see that there's an issue and they both want to work to solve it. So we'll see how they get there. But definitely continue to check us out throughout the week. So Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursday's either a throwback or a Ask Us SP episode. So this week will be a throwback. And then Friday's everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So definitely tune in for that one. So you can hear Shannon talk about Spider-Man 2. So yeah, I got like we'll talk about it, but I didn't get as much playtime as I was hoping. But hit up all the websites to go by our name. You give me a person, I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. Stay safe, stay secure.